Hi, everyone. Just making sure you can hear me. So I'm not talking to myself again. The lag is so long. All right. Perfect. So today we're doing part 4 of the timeline. I kept getting confused between part 3 and 4, but I think it's part 4 officially. And we'll be looking at the month of July. And a lot has happened in July. And if you've noticed, we have Dieter. He's our star today. And you'll find out why. So let's get started. Just got to figure this out. I guess I could have done that before. All right. Oh, thank you, Joanne. Wow, the lag is huge. So sorry if I'm slow. Just want to make sure that you can see it okay. Hey, Cricket. Hi, Alexandra. All right. Let's do this. So July is going to be fun. We start off July 1st with text messages, and they are from NK, or I'm sorry, this is from Chris to NK. And Chris is saying, I'd love to be a part of it. Being in your life is something I crave. So that's at 1:25. And at this time, NK is in the mountains. She's for her birthday. So she's spending the weekend in the mountains. And while she's there, Chris is telling her that he would love to be a part of her life and that he's craving it. And then later that night, he says, conserve it while you can. I enjoyed our conversation tonight. I hope you have a great night. Sweet dreams, Nikki. Mwah. All right. So conserve what while she can? Not sure. I'm assuming energy, maybe. Yeah. So that's July 1st. July 2nd, this is at 8 in the morning, and she is paying Jim. She's paying Jim for slacker planning fee. Not sure what that means, but this is still while they're at the mountains for that weekend. And July 3rd is an eventful day because she comes back from her trip. It's her birthday. We don't have her phone records, though, that go this far back. So we literally have 0 phone activity for her. The only thing that we have is Chris's work phone and the little bits and pieces that they dropped in the discovery in the timeline for us. So that's pretty much all we're going off of. So that's Chris's work route for the entire day. So he spent all day out in the field while NK was returning from her trip. So let's see. like I said, it's her birthday, and he slept over at her house, so he probably couldn't wait for her to get home to spend the night because it was her birthday. So I hope you're ready. Can everyone hear me? Because someone said I don't have sound and it's freaking me out. Please say you can hear me. Oh, good. Thank you. Because I was going to say, I hope I didn't talk for 5-10 minutes without you guys hearing a single word I said. All right. Perfect. So I hope you're ready for the next slide, because I made this especially for NK, because she is my BFF and always was, always will be. So it is her birthday. I gifted her a wedding dress. I hope she likes it. And I gave her some balloons. She looks happy. I think we have to zoom in on her. What do you think? She looks gorgeous. And then, of course, she got her card from Chris. It says, "Your energy is so insane. You heat me up, you make me melt, and then you cool me down like rain." And then he says, "This sums up you. Big things will happen this year." They sure will. "Dreams will come true. That smile, that stare, that laugh, that giggle." Yes, that giggle gets me every time. Me too, Chris. That giggle literally gets me every time. "You're truly an amazing, inspirational, and electric woman that takes my breath away. Every time I see you, you're wonderful. Don't ever stop being you. Happy birthday, Chris." Right, dreams will come true. So, yeah. So this is the night. Sorry, I have to cough. Sorry. This is a night that he spends the night. And now remember, next day is July 4th, Independence Day. So it's a holiday in the US. So Chris didn't have to work. And that is the day that, let's see, according to Chris, the first incident where Cassinger realized he put his wife first was when he left her house on July 4th. He told Cassinger just because he had to leave didn't mean she needed to take a step back. NK told him she thought it was better they didn't see each other the rest of the day, but then ended up asking him to come over after she came home from a baseball game, right? So we know that he said he woke up, he had 10 missed calls from Shanann. So then he went outside and he called her back, and she was pissed. So I'm wondering if this is a phone call in question, if this is a call when he called her back while he was still at NK's house, or if this is a call later on when he's back home. But either way, it sounds like he said that Shanann yelled at him and asked him where he was at, and he said he was sleeping, and she said she didn't know where she was at, and she hung up on him. So I don't know. That sounds like a shorter phone call than 19-20 minutes. But while this was going on, NK was in the shower, and he told her kind of like, I gotta go, in case Shanann called back. Now, can you imagine Chris telling NK this? I gotta go home in case Shanann calls me back. And she asked him if he was gonna come back, and he said no. Ooh. He said she was pissed when I left. And she said, I'm always gonna be second fiddle. And then she told him she researched online if mistresses could turn into real relationship. So this is July 4th, and I can see this conversation happening. So Chris is saying, like, you know what, I gotta go. She's pissed. She's gonna start tracking me. And if she calls back, which she probably will, like, I can't be here. And she was probably like, oh, okay, are you gonna be back? You know, today's July 4th, and, you know, it's a holiday, and we got the game tonight with Jim. And he was like, no, I'm not coming back. She was like, I told you, you're always going to be obsessed with her. I'm always going to be second. And I saw that online when I researched the mistresses. I knew it. Chris's eyes, okay. So then, mysteriously, somehow she ended up at his house. Well, let me go back here. Yeah. So this middle phone call, the green, is with Shanann. The other two are unrelated. They're work related, I guess. But mysteriously, she ends up at his house on the 4th. And he says, I didn't have to work on the 4th. That morning, I missed a lot of calls. So that's consistent with what he was saying. He went back, told her that he had decided to stay home the rest of the day, which made her upset. And this is the first time she realized that she wasn't first in my life. Later, Nikki came over anyway, and we went over a protein eating plan for me. She didn't look around the house much on that visit. So you're telling me, this is, by the way, this excerpt is from Scribble's plagiarized work. But you're telling me that you get into this huge fight and you have this meltdown, and then you decide to come over anyways to go over macros. That makes all the sense in the world, Nicole. So this is Nicole. This is her now in her interview. I'm just comparing the accounts. So that was Chris's account from the prison interview, and then also from Scribble's letters. And now this is her version of events in the interview. So she says, I told Mark yesterday, he asked me if I went over there, and I told him about one time that I went over to that house. You can just feel the resentment or something. I've been to that house twice, but it was very, very brief. Now, you know, when a bitch uses very, very, that she's lying, that it was long as hell. It was very, very brief. And it was not like an extended stay. In other words, it was definitely an extended day or stay. I did not feel comfortable there, or like I just didn't want to be there. It's not my life. No, it's not. Like, that is somebody else's life. Yes, it is. And somebody else's existence. And I respect that. That's their space. Really. I need like a bell or something for every time she lies. So I used to tell him, well, come to my house, because this is our space. This is my space. And so for me, out of respect, just for like whatever situation he had going on, and the fact that it's not my home, I felt that it was better to be in my place. And I live alone. I don't have any roommates or anything. So it's pretty easy to do that. Oh, except that half of Denver has the key to my house. But never mind all that. Porno palace. Yeah, she's so respectful. All right. Then this is later on in the interview. He says, I didn't ask you about the house because you'd been there twice and it made me remember. Do you remember how you guys accessed the house? And she goes, that's a good question. So once through the garage, and I think once through the front door. I think the first time was through the front door, I think. And I think the second time was through the garage. No, he did not. So the question was if Chris ever gave her the access code for the door or a key. And she was like, no, he did not. Like, how dare he? Because I give out my keys all the time, which, by the way, she never admitted to. But okay, the first time I went over there, he just let me in. And then the second time, did we go through the garage? I don't remember. I've been through his garage before. It's like she went there like 20 times, not only twice, right? Like if you went there twice, once you went through the garage, once you went through the door, is it that complicated? Okay, because I remember he had just cleaned. It was the first time I went through the front door. Because he had just cleaned his carpets and I don't know why me reading her say he had just cleaned his carpets makes me think of her empanada. But carrying on. And he had moved all his furniture out of the way. And the furniture was kind of in the way of the door. And he's like, the door doesn't open all the way right now. I'll move all the furniture back when the carpet dries. So I do remember that, just kind of offhandedly. She doesn't remember jack offhandedly. This is all calculated. Oh, and the second time, I want to say we went through his garage. Yes, if you went through the door once and you went through the garage once, then I agree. The second time, you probably would have went through the garage if you went through the door the first time. I remember his garage. I remember. I bet you do. Remember all of his hot rods. So yes, I went to the house, and the first time I was there, I hung out like in the front living room. I just sat on the floor, and it was on the 4th of July. It was the morning of the 4th, and I was helping him to set up my MyFitnessPal app and like track his food and his calories and stuff, because he does pretty good with the working out and stuff. And he asked me, he's like, can you help me get these dialed in? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And so he invited me in the house, and I was already kind of hesitant. Girl, you just said that he was cleaning his carpets and that it was wet. And now you're telling me that you're sitting there dialing in his crap. Right. All right. So then she said, of course she can dial in his nutrients. Why not? After we just had this fight this morning about your wife calling you while I'm in the shower, of course I can help you with your MyFitnessPal app. So she was already hesitant to do it because I was like, there are other people that live here. Yes, they are. I just felt like It was an invasion of space. Yes, it is. And so I went up there. We just stayed in the front room, and I helped him out with that, and got him all set up. And then, he asked me if I wanted lunch, and he grilled chicken and carrots. And then that's all he had. And I was like, okay. So we ate, and then I left. And then there was another day about, I can give you the date-ish. Let me look at my calendar. I think it was the weekend after my birthday. So now she's trying to remember the second time. And the second time, we're not going to get into right now because she's dialing in stuff on her wet carpet. Oh my God, Lisa. I'm dying. I just peeked into the chat, and all I see is Lisa, and she's like, wait, this deserves to be in the spotlight. Oh my gosh. All right. Whew. Yes, this is not for kids or whatever, So cover the ears. Oh, and then this is in her notes, right? So her notes say that on that same day, she complimented his home as being very beautiful. And CW said that he had always wanted a smaller ranch-style home. Maybe she's confusing this with Chris asking her if she can, or if he can eat ranch with his salad, because I thought she was dialing in his stuff. Right? No? Okay. He said that SW insisted on the big house because she liked to throw parties and make it look like they had everything. I asked him what type of parties, and he just shook his head left and right, just in case you're wondering what that means. So left and right, and he said just expensive parties. He then tells me that they had the house built, and that the only part of the design that he had any say in was the stonework and the paint color on the exterior of the house. He said his mortgage was $2,800 a month, and he was tired of being house broke. I asked, why so expensive? He said that about $500 of the 28 was homeowner's insurance. Can I just ask, please, for a friend? I thought she was there really, really, really quickly, not for like an extended stay or anything. And she really, really quickly just showed him how to use an app, and really, really quickly had some carrots and chicken breasts. But then they also had this entire conversation about his finances and talking crap about his wife and how much money she spent. Yeah, Cricket, that's a lot of detail to remember for someone whose memory isn't, that great whenever you ask them about their 111-minute phone call. I agree. The paint color of the exterior is terrible. Yes, this is a lighter, so. Megan, I saw your question earlier. It just flew by about whether or not she went camping or if she went to Vegas. I think the camping came from when we went over June in the previous video that we did. There were some payments back and forth between her and Hazelbrook and another guy joining the cabin. And so I think that's why we kind of concluded that it was camping. I don't have that handy now, but so all the while this is going on, they're carroting around. Didn't work this time, Mama Bear. Shanann is in North Carolina, and she is attending a fun family 4th of July. And she's obviously, it's raining. If only she knew. So then later on in the evening, after they were done with all the... Oh, she told law enforcement... Sorry, I get easily... Megan, she told them she went to Vegas. Then, yeah, she did lie because her Venmo is clearly suggesting that she was somewhere where there's cabins. The only... yeah, I don't know. So... So later on, now this is 6:53 p.m. Chris is with the Thayers, right? They're watching the fireworks as well. And he's telling her, I'm getting drenched right now. LOL. Like to see you all wet in the rain. That's another attempt of Chris at being sexy. So damn sexy. And then he goes on to tell her that his signal sucks and it might take a while to download your pictures. Crushed tacos. So there's more. There's another part of the message that's missing, but clearly, like, she's sending him pictures, possibly from whatever. I don't know when the game started that night. I didn't check that, but and then at 7:30, he's telling her he had a protein shake before he left because, you know, she's keeping track of his food. I thought there would be more here. I'm resisting the funnel cakes and tater twists. LOL. So at this point, I think, let's see. I think he might be at the Thayer's house because he did go to their house after the fireworks. So and then like at 10:30, well, actually, hold on. Let's just go through this together. So at 10:30, he's saying that he's stopped in traffic too. 112th, lots of people here. So maybe this is going back from the fireworks. And then at 9:45, he apparently stopped by their home because his phone connected to their router. And then it's showing us that it's on his phone. So he went to their house. And 15 minutes later, he's telling Nicole that he just pulled up to her place. So he's going over to spend the night. So can we just let this 4th of July sink in? Remember when Chris said it was a roller coaster ride that he just kept punching the ticket on? I think this day, like, I'm dizzy because we woke up to 10 missed calls from Shanann. She's pissed. NK's in the shower talking about, I'm going to be second. Google said so. He goes home. All of a sudden, she shows up. We don't know how the hell she knows where he lives. But she tracked him down, all right, because she can track things. And then she went her own way, went to the Rockies game with Jim, bombarded Chris with pictures of herself while he's at the fireworks, also getting drenched. And then he goes to the Thayer's house, which I think NK knew that they lived close by because the park next to her house, that's where Nick jogs or whatever he does. And then, so 15 minutes later, he's pulling up to her place. And then 8 minutes after he got to her house, she's paying, leave him alone, for the game. She's a tracking empanada. She knows everything. So July 5th. So if he arrived to her house at 11 o'clock, we can safely assume that he slept over, right? So by 5:51 a.m., this is his GPS. He's leaving his house and going to work. And these are all the places that he went to that day for his job, and they're all oil sites. So by 5:51, he's already at home and already ready to go, gotten ready. Poor Dieter, okay, we'll get to Dieter. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out in terms of timeline, like what it looked like. So he lives like 20 minutes away from her. And so maybe he would wake up around 4. By the time he gets to his house, gets ready, and then this is around the time when he would leave with his work truck. And then Shanann calls him around 2. He's at work. And then later, she calls him again around 6:37. So not much happened July 5th. And that's, because we don't have her phone records and we don't have his personal phone records. So we can't. And by this time, like they hadn't talked on the phone yet. Their first official phone call is coming up in a couple of days, but excuse me. So July 6th, this is what we have that's in the timeline in the discovery. It talks about Shanann and Watts talking, and she's telling him to call Vivint before she flips. So these are the actual text messages that are referred to here. And I'm liking this Josh guy because he's doing the meme thing, which I dig that, as you know. So he sends him a meme. Boss, why should I hire you? I'll bend over forwards for you. I think you mean backwards. Whatever you say, daddy. Get the F out my office. And Chris ironically says, that might be how some people get hired here. Wink, wink. Right? And then Josh says, hey, I do a lot for the well-being of my family. Hell yeah, man. LOL. How's the bachelor life? Working out a lot, picking up the weekend shifts, going by fast so far. You know he's lying. And he's talking about Beachbody workouts are crazy. I've been trying to eat a little cleaner with no kids around. It's a little weird, but I've been keeping busy. I bet you have. Why are you not telling Josh about your sudden cravings for Mexican foods? Huh, Chris? Let me see. JK TV Justice, she said. Let me just go back. Where did she say that she left early? I don't see it. Am I blind? I don't know. I think that might be later on because she went to quite a few games. Meanwhile, Shanann is picking up pizza with B. Yeah, and I wanted to focus a little bit on the Vivint part too, because this would be like the day after, or a few days after at least. Wait, what day are we on? July 6th. So 2 days after NK came over, Shanann is clearly like upset, to say the least, with Vivint. So I'm going to assume that she kept getting some sort of alerts on her phone all the time, and that maybe he was probably telling her, oh, they're sending a sensor for the garage door. So yeah, I don't know. We'll focus more on the Vivint later, but this is kind of where we first see it come up. And then on the 7th, here we go. This is their first call, right? The first call between the two of them. But this is now exactly a month since we can track their conversations, or their contact at least. And you're telling me that it took you guys a month to communicate, to talk to one another over the phone, other than texting. But I'm pretty sure I've heard either NK or Chris mentioned that they would talk via Skype, but Chris doesn't have Skype installed on his phone. So I don't know, like I go back and forth between them having a burner phone or not having a burner phone. I mean, we don't have any evidence for that other than there's no phone calls at all between the two of them for a month, when they've clearly been going out to Mexican restaurants a lot. And yeah, so I don't know. Stacy, yeah, I think I talked about that in a previous video, that Shanann helped their friend Zach, or thanked their friend Zach for helping Chris find a job in the oil field. So that's what I was saying. Like, I would like to know who Zach is, because I was wondering if he could be the link between NK Googling Shanann, and could there be a link through Thrive? Yes, you can FaceTime through Messenger. The only reason why I didn't think that they would use Facebook Messenger is because he said that Shanann was the one using his Facebook for Thrive and stuff like that. So she had access to it whenever. So I think, that would be too risky. And as for the let's see, NK's phone connecting and disconnecting on Chris's router, because she's such a respectful dame, she is so respectful of other people's existence and their space. I highly doubt that she would ask Chris for the Wi-Fi password for her to connect to their Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? So her phone would not connect to his router unless she manually connects to it. And for that, she needs a password. So I doubt it. I mean, let's put ourselves in her shoes. Okay. I know, but just bear with me. Let's say you're a mistress and you go for some reason to your empanada eater's house. Would you ask to connect to the Wi-Fi? I mean, I personally wouldn't, because I would be like, oh, no. But I don't know. Maybe. Right. The Facebook was for business. So then he goes from 7:20, his phone connects at the Rusty Bucker. I'm sure it's Bucket. And then he's at the Orchard Town Center, which is like a little strip mall where they have like the movie theater and all that stuff. And I think they spent a lot of time there. They would go there a lot, actually. So when she says that the first time they were out in public was whenever that was, at the Lazy Dog, that's a lie. I need to get a soundbite of Maury. Okay. And then Maury is going to be the one telling us the lie detector test determined that was a lie. Let me see. Yeah, no, I can't. I'll have to find that for next time, because these are all really long clips and I don't want to. So they're at the Rusty Bucket. But see how the timeline jumps around? So his phone connected to Rusty Bucket at 7:20. But at 6:00, he's already there. Like his phone logged coordinates there. So they got there at 6 and they were there until at least 7:20. Now let's see where they were at. So it's funny, I went on Google Maps and I found the Rusty Bucket. And it's funny that Google Maps actually is showing they went through there on July 2018. And so, my stalker self was like, ooh, maybe I can see them in there. So, but it seems like this was early in the morning or whatever, because there's not a lot of cars and there's not a lot of people and it looks like it's closed. Yes, he Shruti, he could have changed the settings, which could have triggered Shanann's phone to go crazy. But anyways, so check this out, guys. In NK's interview, she says that they talked. So they were supposed to go see Jurassic Park at 7. Okay. And so look at this. Chris's phone connected, or GPS was at the mall, and it connected to the Rusty Bucket. And then at 7:15, it connected to the Crushed Red. And she says they were supposed to see a show at 7, but that it was sold out, or that they missed the show. Yeah, that they missed the show. So then at 7:20, they're at the Rusty Bucket, or his router picks up the Rusty Bucket. And you can see right here, this is Rusty Bucket, and this is a movie theater. Now, this is a movie theater from the front view, and this is the Rusty Bucket over here, right? So she said that they sat on a bench and talked for 2 hours. And I actually zoomed this in, and there are like 2 benches. You can't obviously see it. It's pixelated right now, but there are 2 benches here. So talk about not being public, like smack dab in the middle of a freaking strip mall. They're talking on a bench for 2 hours. Now remember, this is July. So even if they asked for cameras, I don't know that they would have cameras for like a month back, if that makes sense. And then July 8th, Shanann is calling him, right? But we know that they sat up on the bench for 2 hours and talked. And then he went to her house again. And at 5:15, just like almost every morning, like clockwork, he texts Shanann and says, "Sorry, boo. I fell asleep as soon as I got home. The heat killed me yesterday. I love you so much." Okay. And then he called her immediately after that and talked to her for 6 minutes. And then there's a Venmo activity where NK's mom is giving her money for her birthday, but she's 5 days late, so I don't know. And 20 minutes after NK got paid, Shanann called Watts and they talked for 20 minutes. Yes, Megan. He also called NK Boo, which is, yeah, like I'm just trying to put myself in all of their shoes, really. Because at this point, Shanann has not yet said anything about her suspecting or noticing that Chris is distancing himself. So at this point, everything is supposed to be fine, right? But now Chris is saying to NK that they're getting separated and it's getting heated and he's craving her and he's addicted to her warm body, her body heat. So I feel like the pressure is rising for sure. At the same time, so this is at 10 a.m., Shanann posts a picture of Ronnie digging something, I don't know what they're called, a ditch, I guess. And then on the 9th, again, this is his routine. This is his routine every morning around 5:15 a.m. I feel like we talk a lot about Shanann being OCD, but I feel like Chris had such specific routines that it's not, it's almost like it's a fixed routine. I don't know how to explain it. Like he has to do it. Like it has to happen one way or another. So every morning, 5:15, around that time, he calls and talks to Shanann, and then he leaves Trench. Yes, thank you. That's Ronnie. That's Chris's dad. Yeah. So every morning, like I said, every morning he calls and then goes to work. And so then while he's at work, NK texts Chris and she tells him, "You're so considerate." So what is he so considerate of? Help. This is July 8th. Yes, Stephanie, two very, very intense women. And I bet you he was under a lot of stress and pressure, especially later on as Chris or as Shanann started asking him more questions. Oh, yes. And then July 9th is also Nutgate. So this is at 1:55 p.m. And this is Shanann's friend, Cassie. And she asks her, "Okay, my beautiful friend, what is going on over there? I'm seeing your post about Cece and I'm concerned. So reaching out to see if you needed to vent." And Shanann says, "My mother-in-law has zero respect for me or my kids. All weekend, she's letting Bella do and have things after I say no. Then whispers in her whispers in her ear not to tell mommy. She let her other granddaughter eat ice cream that had every tree nut in it next to my daughters and said they have to learn they can't get everything they want. She buys things and gives to them, and I have to read them and then say no. She said, your mommy says no. No, her life says no." So there are obviously different accounts of what happened that day. I couldn't find the book that was making it rounds. Well, I could find it, but to be honest, like I wish there was like a PDF version because I didn't feel like transcribing. But in one of the chapters, I believe, Cindy Watts, Chris's mom, tells her side of the story or tells her perception of the events that day. And it didn't really coincide with what Shanann is describing. It sounded, and then later on, Chris also described what he heard, but Chris wasn't there. Let me see. Yeah, Chris wasn't there. So according to them, they were all sitting in a room, and Cindy's other granddaughter, so Jamie's daughter, went into the kitchen to get some ice cream, and Cece had followed her, and that it wasn't as big a deal as it turned out to be. But again, I don't know. So every side has a story. And then there's also a story that Shanann actually went out with Cindy to go shopping for food so that she could pick it out herself. And it was apparently a very expensive trip to the grocery store. So who knows? Who knows? But as I've said before, and I'll say it a million times, mother-in-laws and daughter-in-laws relationships, I never believe one over the other. Because it seems like there's like this, I don't know, it's like embedded in our human nature to always kind of have these beefs between mother and daughter-in-laws. I don't know. So I'm not taking either side of the story. Like, obviously something happened, and it's two different accounts of the same incident. So, and both accounts are emotionally charged, so you can't believe one or the other, because there's no rationality in irrationality. And then Shanann starts posting, excuse me, starts posting the Facebook. She's shooting shots basically at her mother-in-law. And this particular day, only the public stuff. So not the private stuff on her Facebook, but what's public. There's like 3 at least on this day. So so they're in the car. This is 3:36 p.m. She's posting a picture of Cece in the car seat, and then at 4:11 she calls Chris, and they talk for 14 minutes. And I believe this is when she called Chris and told him. But Cassie already messaged her around 1. So did she wait that long to tell Chris? Because we didn't see any text messages at this time yet between the two of them. I agree, Stasia. I mean, we can't let go of this case because for whatever reason, everybody has their own understanding. They're drawing their own conclusions. There are so many questions that we need answers to, we want answers to. So I can only imagine, what both families feel like. And that includes the Watts family. I do feel for them. And I if I was in their shoes, I would be defending my brother, my son, whoever. Not necessarily defending what he has done, but just wanting to understand. Oh, so then she also posted in a group where she says, I need to vent to people who understand. My 2.5-year-old is severely anaphylactic to most all tree nuts, and we are visiting in-laws. I specifically said we can't have them in the house when we stay. My mother-in-law stated we don't buy them. I specifically mentioned the ones. She's deathly anaphylactic to as well. I arrived, and on the floor shelf of her center island was a bag of pistachios, a big bad one. I removed immediately. Today, she lets her other granddaughter eat an ice cream that has all tree nuts in front of and next to my 2.5-year-old child that can't have them. I said I didn't appreciate it and removed my daughter. Her response was she has to learn. She can't always get what she wants. I'm beyond furious, and she's telling me I'm overreacting when my child's life is at risk. And on that same post, she is commenting or responding to a comment saying, yeah, she's young, only 60. Sarcastic. She completely understands. My husband called her after he got off work and told her he did not appreciate how she handled the situation and teasing my 2-year-old with the ice cream and putting her at risk to exposure. She also has EOE and asthma. What's EOE? Is that a thing? I don't know. Her response to my husband was, "This is a learning experience to my 2-year-old to realize she can't always get what she wants. F you." So this is when then, like, later on, they had another 9-minute conversation. I think this was, I don't know about the blocking, because if you remember, Ronnie was able to pull up Shanann's profile in the interrogation room. So he was able to see her profile. So I don't know who blocked who. We don't see that. Oh, thanks, AB. I don't even know what that means. Does anyone know what that means? Oh, like the constricted esophagus or the smaller esophagus. But yeah, so I don't know. I think this is huge. Like, in addition to NK being the possessive mattress that she is, and also Shanann and the whole Nutgate thing, and her basically demanding that he stop interacting with his family completely. That would definitely be, for Chris especially, it would definitely be like disorienting. I don't think he would know how to handle it, obviously. Hi, Tamara. To see you. Welcome. Yes, Melanie, a possessive mattress. So going on with Cassie now, this is at 5:24 after after she's talking to Chris. She's texting at the same time with Cassie, and she's saying, "I want Chris to say something to his mom about the food incident, but she talks over him and he won't get to speak. Will he be okay if you say something? Maybe you two need to have it out to move forward." Yes, I told him he should. We've had it out for 8 years. You've yelled and screamed and had it out fully? Yep, and today. Asked her questions? She's a different person when her hubby's around and her daughter. He doesn't like confrontation. Her is the golden child and her kids. Chris was like chopped liver his whole life. I think if he finally confronts her, then the shot might do it. If the shock doesn't, then she will have to not see her grandbabies ever again, and that's her loss. Isn't that a little extreme? In my opinion. I don't know. And then at 8 o'clock, Shanann discussed how Watt's mother, so this is her text. You should call your dad and tell him. You did not appreciate your mom putting your daughter at risk today, nor do you like that she teased our girls. You should also say you don't appreciate her saying they have to learn they can't always get what they want, referring to ice cream. They're 2 and 4. And he says, I will call him and tell him what I think about this. It's not effing cool at all because it is the kids. I will set this right. Now I'm noticing that in Shanann's text message, she's literally telling him what to say, exactly how to say it, and who to say it to. And we know from previous timelines that we've done, and also from listening to all of the interviews, that Chris's mom is the dominant one in the relationship, and Shanann is the dominant one in their relationship, and then Sandy is the dominant one in Shanann's parents' relationship, right? So you have 3 dominant women and 3 kind of like submissive men, and she is literally telling her, or telling Chris, what to say to his dad. And obviously dad would tell Cindy. So she's literally using Chris and Ronnie as a messenger. Does that make sense? Am I overthinking this? But I feel like that's what it's sounding like to me. And it's definitely not healthy. Definitely not healthy, a healthy communication, because I don't see that Chris ever even had the opportunity to form his own thoughts and opinions about this, because she's telling him, like, this is what it is, and if you disagree with me, you know, I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. So yeah, I agree, Jennifer. I mean, I can talk all the crap I want about my parents. This is always, even when I was married, that was always something that, you know, that was a line that I would never cross. I never got along with my mother-in-law, but I would never, ever like disrespect her or talk bad about her to my husband, you know? And I always thought that was just kind of a line that, you know, it's disrespectful, in my opinion. So yeah, it's a buildup, definitely, not isolated incident. And also another thing about this Nutgate thing is that in Sandy's letter in the discovery, so Shanann's mom had mentioned that there were also razor blades laying around the house, just random razor blades, which honestly, when I read that the first time, I was like, all right, like seriously, what's the next thing that, you know, are they going to say like, oh, and they made a minefield out of the backyard? Like, you know, I thought it was exaggerated. And I didn't really believe it from the get-go. So when I read this whole Nutgate incident, and when I read all the text messages and everything in here from Shanann, there is absolutely zero mention of any razors, right? So I don't know where that came from. Okay, so this is the next day. Hold on, I need a sip of water. All right. Yeah, so the whole wedding story, that's another thing that we don't know what happened, and we are only getting one side of the story. And again, obviously, there's dysfunction between the two families in their communication, and there's dislike on both sides for both sides. So it's difficult to say that, oh, she just didn't go, or they didn't go, or they skipped out on because we don't know what happened. We really don't. And just like, Shanann was ready to cut them out of their lives completely. I feel like, maybe that was another line that was crossed where Chris's side said, no, like, we're not gonna put up with this. So I don't know. Very, very dysfunctional. Yeah. And that's why that's part of the reason too, like why I'm curious about this case and why I would want to know more. Obviously, like I don't want to, I don't know, like I'm just trying to figure out what the hell is going on over here, so I'm trying to keep an open mind and really just look at all sides, just all sides. All right, back to this. So on the 10th, he's back at work. He's there's not much going on. No calls, no texts with possessive mattress, nothing. Meanwhile, Shanann is still continuing the Facebook posting about the allergies and stuff like that. So here we have 3 posts. Yeah. And then they also went to the play Escape on the 10th with the girls and Santa. In July. And she says, it's already been one crazy busy week already. Stressful yet amazing. Had so much fun with parents and kids today. Now they're swimming with Papa. I love, love, love having the energy, mood, support, patience, and just feeling great. Thrive allows me to create so many memories with my kids. As a mom, we have to be on our A game. I definitely am these days. And the reason why I put this up there is because it's definitely not the picture that we are seeing in the text messages and the subtle shots fired at the family and everything that happened over here. Like, you're literally, I don't know, you literally got into a huge fight. You're saying you're cutting the in-laws off forever completely, but everything is A-okay. So that's why I cannot stand like Facebook fakery. I don't know. It just, you never know. And maybe if she was a salesperson, I get that. She was selling a product and she needed to come across a certain way. Yet at the same time, I'm thinking maybe if she was more genuine, it might have, I don't know. It might have helped us realize some things. Not us, obviously, but like there might have been more red flags that people could have picked up on or something like that, because there seems to be like this smoke screen of everything is perfect and beautiful. And of course, when this tragedy happened, of course, everybody was like, wait, what? Disbelief that this could never happen. They were perfect. They had a perfect life. They were a perfect family. Like, everybody was in disbelief. So I don't know. And then, so now this is, obviously the same day where everything is picture perfect. Shanann, for the first time, is asking him, "Are you okay? It's like you don't want to talk. I keep trying to talk and I had to dig it out of you." He said, "I'm fine, baby. The last few days at work have put a lot of responsibility on me with new people. I didn't mean to seem short, boo. I love you to the moon and back." Well, doesn't that sound familiar? She says, "I miss you and I feel like you just want to work out and run." Watts claimed running helps clear his mind. It's a way to free it all. Shanann didn't buy the excuse and said, "I wish my husband wanted to talk to me." Now, this is a day after Nutgate, so I'm going to assume that Shanann was a little bit hypervigilant at this point as well, because she knows that what she's asking of him is huge. And so she's maybe more aware of how he says things, how long they're on the phone, and stuff like that. So she's probably more, I don't know. Yes, Melly. Holy crap. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much. Okay, so again, on the 11th and 12th, there's not much going on, but we have Chris's usual phone calls. Shanann called him at 4:46. At this time, he was probably on his way to his house. So he didn't answer because we know damn right that he was awake. And at 5:15, 5:16, it's always around that time, he called her and they talked for 10 minutes. So the allergy stuff continues. And Shanann says, "I should be worn out from this heat and running around, especially first trimester, going home to color hair now." She actually does look worn out, but the post suggests that she's not. And then the 12th, the girls are FaceTiming Chris probably. The 13th, again, another Nutgate thing. Even items we know is safe, we have to read every time in case the manufacturer changed ingredients. It's a challenge at times, but it's my daughter's life and our life. All right. We are here. It is July 14th. And Kessinger and Watts visited a Mustang museum in Boulder together. So he's not working on this day, obviously. And at 10 o'clock, NK is calling him. He goes on Facebook. At 10:24, she pings in Frederick because she is at Chris's house and she is picking him up to go to the museum, right? So she is pinging in Frederick. This is the first ping in Frederick because she is at his house. Please get it in your heads. And then an hour later, 11, they're at the museum because he's taking a bunch of pictures at the museum. So then between 1 and 3:30, he misses a bunch of calls from Shanann. And in Scribble's book, he says, on July 14th, we were heading back from the Shelby Museum and stopped by my house before we went to get something to eat. Okay. So stopped at my house before we went to get something to eat. So he Google searches this carrot bistro thing at 1:30. So by this time, they are at his house. Let's say that by 2 o'clock, they're out eating, right? So 2 o'clock, let's say they're eating and it takes an hour or so to eat. NK goes home. She gets home around 3:30, calls him right away because she's a possessive mattress. This is probably on her way because she's in North Glen. And then finally at 4, she makes it home. And she calls him yet again for 44 minutes after having spent the whole day with him. Scribble is Sherilyn Cadle. She's the author of, or she copied someone's book and stated that it was hers. Letters from Christopher. Yes. So she gets home around 3:30 and she's still on his ass for 44 minutes while Shanann is going nuts calling him. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then he finally calls her when he gets off the phone with NK. So immediately after he gets off the phone, he calls her for 10 minutes. That's intense. Now, mind you, this is also the day that they are... Oh, I love Kimberly, Cosmic Messenger. I love Kimberly. I could listen to her all day. I may or may not already. So he calls her for 10 minutes, and then at 6:15 or 6:14, whatever, he's Googling Dave Bunk minerals, dioptase, or however you pronounce it. Now let's look into this a little bit deeper, shall we? Enter Maitre Dieter. Chris says that while in the house, she was playing with Dieter, and he led her upstairs ever so gracefully. And she saw a lot of pictures of Bella Celeste and Shanann. I was downstairs at the time. She came back downstairs with this frozen, dazed, and confused look on her face. So Maitre Dieter is clearly the host. Dieter's like, let me take this crusty ass bee up here and show her who my real mommy is. Dieter's like, why do I all of a sudden smell empanadas? Dieter's like, Nicole, why'd you lie? Why'd you lie? I love Dieter. Look at him. Dieter's like, follow me upstairs. Let me show you what you're up against. BR? Bark on this. And you know, after NK ran out of the house, so distressed, Dieter's like, yo, where that hand sanitizer at? I need to disinfect this place. Christine, Dieter is with Frankie. Well, he's with Shanann's family. No, I'm not, Nico. I don't know if that was for me, but I'm going to answer it. All right, so Empanada now realizes for the first time, remember, because July 4th, he also said that it was her first time realizing. So she has a lot of firsts. I don't know what she's talking about, but oh, my Dieter's German. Okay, now we have to go back to Dieter. Yes, that's right. Dieter is a Dachshund. Dieter's like, Komm, Nicole. I will show you around. Let me show you where my real mama is. What is that smell? I smell a fish. Bring me the sanitizer, human. Get this thing out of here. All right, so back to the first. So for the first time in her head, so the 4th of July was the first time in her life she realized. This is now a different first. So now for the first time in her head, she realized the family life I lived and the family that would be broken to pieces. I walked over and took her to the couch and we laid on the couch. Excuse me. And she says, you have all this, more than most people. And we're doing this? Why are we doing this? Are you willing to give up all of this up? Sorry. Is your relationship with your wife that bad? Okay, we're missing the quotes ending. Scribble, I'm looking at you. I told her, Shanann and I were drifting apart and we didn't talk anymore. I'm not sure if I believe that fully. Oh, we're missing the quotes. Scribble. I'm not sure if I believe that fully, but I can see the deficiencies in our relationship today. Then I also said, we're missing a comma. Shanann and I were actively trying to have a baby before her and I met. That's not what he said. Why is it in quotes? Oh, scribble. This is why I can't do this. Whew, okay. Nikki immediately freaked out. She yelled and said our relationship, mine and Shanann's, It couldn't have been that bad if Shanann and you are trying to conceive. She was so angry, she stormed out to her truck. She sat out there for about 30 minutes texting me, and I was inside my house. You know, she was waiting for him to come after her, to run after her and be like, but Nikki, no. But he was just like, okay, like he usually does. So I somehow calmed her down. Nikki repeatedly reminded me I was the only guy she had ever met, aka met, that tried to fix problems, smooth out issues, and talk about things. Ironically, I never did that with Shanann. Maybe I thought she wouldn't listen. Thinking about it made me somewhat sick to my stomach. After all of that, Nikki still invited me over to her house like nothing had happened between us. She said, I got mad because I thought I could give you a son. And when you told me you and your wife were trying, that made me upset. Close quotes. She said that would be a first for you that we could have together. That doesn't make sense, but we get it. After all of that, we went to the drag races in Bandamere on the 21st and then went camping. So again, the intensity of the possessiveness of this mattress in particular. She knew. I am convinced that she knew from the very first time that Shanann posted the video about the pregnancy. And then I would have to find, I'm not sure if this person is even would even give me permission to say her name or his name, her name, I think. But someone had commented on a video of mine and brought this to my attention, which I'd never noticed. And I really appreciate that a lot, because the reason why I'm convinced that this entire fight happened, it's not because of Herr Dieter, but it's probably because NK was stalking them. Because look at this. Shanann on July 14th posted a picture of baby Watt's first outfit. Right? So she wanted to give him a son, but that was ripped right underneath her. So let's say that, let's look at her notes. So now this is her notes, right? She says, went to his house to drop him off after we visited the Shelby Mustang Museum in Boulder. While at his house, I felt uncomfortable, as if I did not belong there. You didn't. He had built a beautiful life, and it made me think that there was still a chance for him to fix things with his wife. Sure you did. You didn't think that there was still a chance. You knew that she was having a baby. I told him that I didn't think it was fair to SW or to me that he was trying to live two lives by being in a relationship with both of us at the same time. Said that I think he either needed to fix things with her and let me go, or he needed to move towards trying to finalize his divorce. Now she's setting some expectations here. She's setting ultimatums. And at this point, it's like, You're having this fight. You're saying it's not fair for him to live two lives. It's not fair to you or his wife. But like, you are the thing that is making his other life. So you could have just walked away. You could have just walked away. I told him that I thought his problems with SW were fixable and that he should focus on trying to rekindle the relationship that they had before giving up. He said that Shanann was set on separating and that so was he. He said when Shanann wants something, she gets her way. And this is, again, not her words because she made sure to quote him. I told him I did not understand why they hadn't completed the divorce after all these months. What months, Nicole Kessinger? You met him in June. And for the entire month of July, she's not even in the same state as y'all. If they were both so adamant about it, if she wanted it as bad as he stated, I did not understand why it seemed stagnant. At this moment, I realized that he might be lying to me about his separation, so I started quizzing him on things that he had told me earlier. Psycho. Guys, if there are any guys in here, guys, if a woman, no matter what the relationship is, if a woman says, hey, I'm about to quiz you, it's pop quiz time, MRFers, that is a dead giveaway that you need to run for your life. I'm talking about run. I'm going to play a little song for you. I don't know if you guys like watching the news parodies there, and they would make, they made a song out of a news interview. Hold on. It's called Dead Giveaway. It's Charles Ramsey, when he was the one that found the three girls that were like locked in that dude's basement forever. And he gave this interview that was really funny. So the point is, dead giveaway.
I'm talking with Charles Ramsey. He's a neighbor. Walk me through again what happened this afternoon.
I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran to a black man's arms. Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway. My neighbor got big testicles because we see this dude every day. We eat ribs with this dude. But we getting bad at glue that that girl was in that house. She said, please help me get out. Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway. Giveaway.
All right. So dead giveaway. Run. Where was I? Sorry about that. So she started quizzing him, right? Pop quiz time. Students, pupils. Asked him, so when was the last time you were intimate with your wife? He said, the last time I and SW had sex was in May. But you told me at an earlier date that the two of you had not been intimate since March or early April. Did you use protection when you slept with her? Because you told me at an earlier date that you used condoms. We did not use protection. Are you lying about your separation? No. Are you actively trying to have a child with SW since you had unprotected sex? He said, no. I left his house. Girl, you didn't leave nothing. You were in your truck. Talking about, come over later, please. Trying to blame Dieter. This is from her interview, right? So we're matching all her stories, trying to anyways. So the second time I went to the house, I'm not sure what day it was, but it was the weekend of the 14th. I don't know if it was the 14th or the 15th. You know damn right what day it was. It was probably both. But we had went out and we stopped there just real quick, again, on the way back. And we were there not very long, but that time I saw a picture of his wife and one of his kids. Dieter clearly told us that he showed her all the pictures, so she's lying. And I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, she's so beautiful. And I took a step back and I was like, man. Oh, I was just like, this man has a gorgeous house. He has beautiful babies. He has a beautiful wife. He has an awesome job. Like, why would he want to leave this? And I remember talking to him about it. And that was the first time that I tried to actually say, hey, what do you think about not separating from your life? I mean, your wife. That's probably what she did tell him. I'm going to separate you from your life if you don't leave her now. Like, what if you really tried to work on this? And he had expressed to me that we've tried to work on this and it's not working. So that is why we're separating. And I spent some time like just, kind of, because it almost made me feel bad where I was like to the point where I'm engaging. Girl, get to the point. Come on. I'm engaging in a relationship with a man who, the way he described it, is in a contractual agreement, but was not in like an emotional relationship with somebody. Say her name. Say her name, Nicole. And for me, the way I would have preferred to do this is to avoid it till that contractual agreement was also done and he was done. So if that was your preferred method, why then did you continue doing this? And he could have approached me and said, I'm just had a divorce, maybe we could take it slow. What do you think? But instead it was, oh, we're separated and we're working on a divorce. And that is the part that I feel bad about because I should have waited on that and I didn't. Is it possible, ding, 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 is it possible that Miss Empeñada is taking some sort of accountability here for what she should have done, right? I mean, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but still she's like, I feel bad about that. I should have waited. Yes, you should have. You should have minded your own business. Okay. And, I was just like, well, they're already there, but then being in that house, I was just like, why? Fix this. Find a way to fix this. Make it work. She's talking about her and him. Not talking about anything else, but her and him. She wants him to make their relationship work. And I was like trying to push him to do it. You certainly were pushing him. Yes, you were. Definitely. And he seemed pretty reluctant to do it. He didn't want to. And I don't know. We're still seeing each other fairly frequently, but I kind of like backed away. So we weren't hanging out quite as much as we were. Still close, but it was just like I really wanted him to try. Like I wanted to know that he tried and it didn't work, and then he moved on. Not that, you know, they both kind of tried and he got himself in a situation with somebody else. And I don't know, I just thought he had a beautiful life going on and he could have made it work. That was the way I looked at it from the outside. Girl, you were not on the outside. You were smack dab in the middle. Matter of fact, you made yourself the center stage possessive mattress issue with your empanada. And now you're trying to talk about that you distanced yourself. No, you didn't, girl. We have your phone records. We have his GPS. We have his texts, your texts, some of them, by the way. We're going to get the rest of them, rest assured. But don't try to tell us that you're trying to like move away when clearly, if anything, you became even more. You went from a possessive queen size to a possessive king size, California king size mattress. I didn't think it didn't look right. I just thought it just seemed like he had so much going on, and it was just beautiful that it was like, why don't you just try this out, you know, and see if you can fix it? And he'd always been like, well, what about us? What about us? And I'm like, man, don't worry about us. Like, that is more important. Like, try to see if you can like salvage whatever it is that you have going on with your wife. And, you know, I got the impression that he was a great father to his kids, like always. And so, you know, and I was like, and be the dad that you want to be. And I was like, and see if you can make it work. And then basically he told her that he's going to try to talk to her when he's in North Carolina. I can't even read this anymore. Like, this is really giving me a headache because she is so full of it. She is so full of it. She is so full of it. Anywhere I look in this entire paragraph is just BS. The 15th. What? Let me see what these. Oh, yeah. So the 15th, he's not working. He's not working. And actually, I'm not seeing any calls here to Chris, but he talks to Shanann in the morning. Then he talks to someone work related. Then he talks to Shanann again. Then Possessive Mattress is talking to whoever. I think at this point it might have been one of her parents. And here we go. Now this is the second Vivint call, right? Remember, the first one was 2 days after NK came over. This one is the day after, right? So the first time was NK came over July 4th. He was calling Vivint July 6th. And Shanann was saying, I'm going to flip out, right? Now, the second time is NK came over the 14th. And the next day, he's talking to Vivint for 20 minutes. And he's taking, so while he's on the phone call, he's taking pictures of the basement. All right. So then 3 hours later, Shanann is texting with her friend. We'll have a look at those later, but I guess 4 hours later then, he talks to Shanann again for 6 minutes and then takes pictures of the basement again. So the FBI person who wrote this timeline seems to think that he was documenting the work he spent cleaning and organizing the basement as evidenced in the photos. So clearly there has been some organizing, cleaning. Yes, and that is where the router was. That is where the router was. And that is when he talked for 20 minutes with Vivint the day after Nicole came over to his house. And she's in the meantime having a mental breakdown with one of her parents on the phone for 75 minutes, probably, or maybe not parents. I don't know who she was talking to, but probably having a mental breakdown and saying, oh, I met this guy and why, and all of that stuff, right? So, yeah, so coincidence, right? Meanwhile, that same day is Cece's birthday celebration. AB, yes, you're right. Vivint probably does record the phone calls. And according to Chris, he said that, because remember he kept going on and on about the sensor in the basement or whatever, that it was wrong. And he said that they had sent him a new one. So that's his cover story, but it all just seems too weird for me. And that this is not the last time that he's calling Vivint either. So let's keep going. So again, we know that on Cece's birthday celebration, none of the Watts family members showed up. So Chris's mom, dad, sister, none of them came to the birthday party. So, you know, Shanann was fired up. So she started posting again about allergy stuff, right? And so clearly she's upset. But again, you know, it's not, nothing is said. No one is straightforward. Let me just put it that way. Like, no one is straightforward in speaking their mind and saying what they feel, what they think to the other person privately or any other way. I feel like there's just all this, you know, beating around the bush kind of thing. And yeah, you know, clearly like this is aimed at the whole Nutgate thing. So, all right. And then Possessive Mattress says that on the 15th, so we know that Chris is cleaning his basement and he's talking to Vivint. And she says that they talked in person too. So let's see. She says he tells me that he still wants the separation because it's only been a day. But this time he says it's because he's never met anyone like me. I'm sure he hasn't. Girl. Told him that you better not be doing that for me. You need to be leaving this current situation because it is what you feel is the best for the kid. In other words, let's translate this to NK language. In other words, she's telling him, you will never find someone like me. You're going to be miserable for the rest of your life. And if you want to be with me, you need to leave your current situation right now. or I will self-quarantine this empanada. We spoke over the next several days and spent a little time together, but I did not want to be intimate with him. I kept telling him that I thought he needed to fix things with her and not to worry about building a relationship with me anymore. Told him that I'd been asked out on 2 dates since I'd known him and that I didn't go on either one and that I was stood up. So, did you go or were you stood up? Told him that he took the respect and trust from our relationship because I felt like he was lying. So let's translate again. Look, Chris. I hope you know what you're missing out on. There's guys lined up around the corner trying to be with me. And guess what? I almost did it. I almost gave my empanada away. But in the last minute, I said, but I love Chris. And he was the last one who knows how to make the empanada work. So I changed my mind. And here I am. Okay, July 16th. Here we go. He's back at work and he's right back at his routine on work days. But now he's adding Nicole to the 5 o'clock routine. So let's assume that he wakes up at 4. He leaves her house. He calls her when he gets home. He's getting ready. He calls Shanann at 5:30. And he leaves his house at 5:45 or 5:44. And he gets to work at 6:15. He spent 2 hours there, 3 hours almost. And he's taking pictures of sunflowers by his office building. But like NK is there too, right? Because they work at the same place. So what is he like walking around the building taking pictures? I don't understand this, because he doesn't leave until 9:24, so he's out there for an hour just snapping pics of sunflowers. He's probably like standing under her office window pretending like I don't know. Yeah, just weird. So then he goes to work, and at noon, right? So now it's around lunchtime. And he's Googling Dave Bunk minerals again. So you know that she's like telling him, oh my God, look up this place. Did you find the upstairs yet? Did you? I'm telling you, did you find it? Did you? He's like, Nikki, it's like $300. Like, what do you want me to do? Oh my God, Google Dave. He'll give you a deal. Just use the code empanada. He'll know what you're talking about. And then at 1 o'clock, she's calling Longmont. I made a whole video about this because this is going to explain why she pinged in Frederick on the 18th, right? So it's called Tracking NK's Lies. So you need to check that out. But She calls Longmont and they're looking for paint bottles, yada, yada, yada. And then this 1-minute phone call is like an event reminder. You know, when they call you, when you set an appointment, they call you the whatever and tell you, you have set an appointment for blah, blah, blah. So that's what that is. Okay. So she's called Longmont Toyota and Stapp Interstate Toyota. It's one in the same place. It's the same thing, basically. And yeah, he gets home around 3:43 and she's calling Jim at 3:46, her friend. Leave Jim alone. And then at the same exact time, Shanann calls Chris and they talk for half an hour. Isn't that hilarious? I mean, not hilarious, sorry. Isn't that like a funny coincidence? I don't know. Then July 17th, the morning routine again, 5 a.m. He calls her. 5:22, he calls Shanann. 5:51, he leaves for work and he gets there at 6:16. He continues taking photos of grassland north of Roggen, or however you say that. And he takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What the hell is this? Okay. I don't know. Let's say he takes, well, here, 15. I can't do math. You already know that. Let's say he takes 9 or 10 pictures of grassland. And Roggen, whatever, that is where Survey 319 is located. Okay. So just for perspective, July 14th, Maitre Dieter takes Anke around the house. She has a complete and absolute mental breakdown on the 14th. On the 15th, they don't see each other. He's cleaning the basement and he's calling Vivint. On the 16th, Nicole is threatening to take away the empanada and is telling him that there's guys lined up around the block for her and that he needs to make a decision. On the 17th, he's taking pictures on the 16th and 17th. He's taking pictures of sunflowers and grassland. And then texting her, hope it's 2:30. You need some rest, boo. So I'm assuming that means that she's probably boo-hooing to him at work, from work. And she's saying, you know, I'm going home at 2:30. I've just been a mess. And so he's probably saying, okay, I hope it's 2:30. Boo, boo. So 3 o'clock, she's already on the phone talking to Leave Jim alone and driving home. Probably. At 3:10, Chris goes to Safeway Food and Drug Store and then goes home and then takes a picture of his new work boots. So I think this is the day that he bought those new boots that were found in his Lexus, in the Lexus, right? Because I looked at Safeway. I don't know. We don't have Safeway where I live. But do they, like, I'm assuming they sell boots and stuff, right? Or I don't know. But this is where, yes, Jan, he is calling NK Boo as well. Boo like baby, maybe? Like bae, boo. Oh, boo, boo, boo. Boobs. Yeah, so he's taking photos of new work boots. And then at 5:30, she has a phone call with someone, probably a family member. And then talks to Chris and shit for 3 minutes. And then leaves a voicemail for someone and is back home. Yeah. So then the 18th. Now, this is the 18th. Now, hold on. Put your thinking caps on. This is the 18th. We have our regular routine, except now he's added 2 more phone calls for some reason. This is so bizarre. Check this out. So he calls NK at 5:15. They talk for 2 minutes. At 5:26, he calls Shanann. I'm sorry, Shanann calls him. They talk for 4 minutes, so that's until 5:30. Immediately after that, he calls NK. They talk for 4 minutes, hangs up. Immediately after that, he calls Shanann. They talk for 4 minutes. And then there's a 10-minute break or so, and then he calls NK back and then goes to work. Why? He would literally hang up with one and pick up with the other. Now, notice how in the timeline here, we only see the 2 calls with Shanann, but there's 3 more calls in between with NK, and they're literally one after the other, after the other, after the other. Yeah, so you can tell that it is absolutely I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how he kept up with that. I guess he felt safe that in that, you know, maybe Shanann, like she's in on the other side of the country. So, but yeah. And then at 9 o'clock, for the first time, he's transferring calculator pictures. Some were taken by him as evidenced by reflection in the mirror. So let's look at some of those pictures. Voila. Yes, I did look at all the numbers. So we don't have number 13, but this is 14, 32, 33. We don't have 35. So the ones that we don't have, we can assume are the nudes. And you can also obviously see that they are not in any order whatsoever. Like, because clearly, like, these were all taken on the same day, but they're not in any order. And that's another thing that is important here, because when we look at the pictures, when we look at the image numbers that are on the actual phone itself in the photo album, they are in order. But these aren't. So anytime he transfers something in the calculator, they get jumbled up. Yeah, there were a lot of pictures in there. All right. So this was when at 9, so 9:45, he's transferring pictures. So he's at work, right? Transferring pictures of her into his secret calculator app. So this is probably when she told him, right? Because remember, she's putting ultimatums out there. It's either her or me. And Chris said, oh, Nicole told me to get the calculator app. So they're still kind of, fighting, going back and forth, being borderline. And now all of a sudden he's starting to transfer all of the pictures while he's at work north of Roggen. So 3:00, she's in Longmont. And she is talking to Chris while he's driving home from work. She's in Longmont for 24 minutes. So that means that she's not driving. She's standing there because her next phone call is 14 minutes. So I think that she's at the Longmont car dealership picking up whatever the hell she ordered or getting her oil change, whatever it is that she's doing. And notice this. So they're on the phone for 24 minutes and they hang up briefly. She calls him back. They talk for 14 minutes. Guess when that phone call ends? At exactly the time he arrives home. Do you see that? From Stapp Interstate to his house, it's 8 minutes. The cell tower is here. Or sorry, it's here. She's on the phone with him. He's on his way home. And the phone call ends at the same exact time when he gets home. She's there for 30 minutes. They probably had some empanada exchanges. A quickie or something. Maitre Dieter was like, oh, for the love of God and everything that is dear to me. And she leaves. So Chris is probably in the shower or something like that. So she leaves him a voice message. And at 4:40, he calls her back. She's still pinging in Frederick. And then Broomfield is this way. So she's driving down this way. She talks to her BFF. Immediately after she gets off the phone with Chris, she calls, leave Jim alone. Talks to him. She's pinging in Broomfield. And then Thornton is down this way. And then she's talking to Chris again at 9. What do you guys think? I honestly think that she went to his house that day. Dieter's like, raus! Get out of here! Maxine. I have to put that up. Hold on. Because it's really slow here. It's like lagging. Can you imagine Tammy and Coder and Kobach. Kobach is like, yeah, it was worse than it sounded. Dieter is German because he's a Dachshund. He's a wiener dog. Aren't like wiener dogs German? I'm pretty sure. She was at that house. She was in that bush. She probably loves Nate's bush. I mean, you know, that bush in front of the house. Because she's probably like staking out in there or something. All right, the 19th. Watts calls Shanann, but he calls her after he calls Nicole. So 5:15, before he goes to work, he's talking to NK, and then 5:30, he calls her. And then 5:06 p.m., he's talking to NK for 40 minutes, and immediately after that phone call, she's talking to leave Jim alone, and then logs into her or he logs into his Facebook. Meanwhile, Shanann is still going on about the Nutgate incident. July 20th, he's logging into Snapchat. And 5:15, he's calling NK, but he does not call Shanann. He does not call Shanann. Annie, he called Vivint on July 6th. And then July, what did we say, 15th? And in the meantime, Shanann is at her parents' house posting pictures. So now, Possessive Mattress is somewhere in Johnstown, wherever that is. But at 3:51, Chris goes to her house. At 3:51, Chris goes to her house. At 4 o'clock, she's still not home because she's pinging in Fort Collins. And at 4:14, he leaves her house and goes home. So I'm wondering if she went somewhere on a trip or something like that. And she made Chris go take her dog out. Because I don't see why he would go to her house while she's not there. What do you guys think? Yeah. And then at 5 o'clock, he's Googling best beer in Colorado. And at 5:09, Chris is asking Shanann's friend if she wants him to talk about burn or thrive or what. And she says just the experience with burn and how different you felt. And the call starts at 8:30. So we know that he was on a call at 8:30 talking about his experience with thrive. So whatever plans they had for that night, him and Nicole, at 8:30 was going to have to come to an end or a stop or a pause because he had to make that phone call. Yeah. So at 6 o'clock, he transfers some more pictures to include this one. Now so this is at 6, but at 5:23, he's Googling a pharmacy. And a restaurant. So we can maybe assume that they went out for dinner. He transferred this, and then he's looking at 24-Hour Fitness, which is where she went. That's her gym. And then the Bandemere ticket office. So that's at 8. He's Googling the gym. So I wonder if at 8 o'clock she went to the gym so that he can have his phone call with Thrive at 8:30. What do you think? I bet you. Because he's probably like, I have this call with Thrive and I can't get out of it. And she's like, Thrive? I'm going to the gym. It's core day today. He's like, okay. Yeah, I don't know why he would Google a pharmacy in Westminster, because that's also like around her house. And he said that she was taking medication for her bipolar, quote unquote, but I don't know. Maybe she needed a refill, or maybe, I don't know. That's why I wish we had the rest of the phone conversation. So here's NK's version of events for that day. We attempted to have sex 4 times that evening, and he seemed mentally interested, but physically cannot perform. In other words, yeah, I'm trying to think of an appropriate way to say it, but let's say it wasn't Chris's core day. That's probably because he was worried about the Thrive phone call. I asked him, what's your problem, dude? Like, what is your problem? Nothing. Nothing's wrong. You're quiet all day. Do you have something on your mind? Does this have anything to do with our huge fight last weekend? Yes. I was mad that you have dudes lined up around the house. That's why I cannot perform physically, because I know where the empeñada was. But I can't say that, because then that would make me a hypocrite. What's really bothering me is that you're trying to tell me to work things out with my wife. I'll try to fix it in North Carolina, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. Okay. Can we go back to empanadas? So it went from 3 to 4 times daily to 1 or maybe 2 times. And it was not an intimate. What does that mean? It was not an intimate when it occurred. It's kind of impossible to have sex without being intimate. NK, were you guys like wearing bodysuits or something? Was he hanging out by the mattress, by the bed, watched you sleep? Maybe it would have been more intimate if you weren't so possessive. Sex no longer happened every day. We hung out, but was still very frequent. Notice how she Oh, wait, maybe I read that wrong. Sex no longer happened every day we hung out, but it was still frequent. Yeah, no, I read that wrong. The next day, they went to Bendemeer. So he's talking to Shanann for 20 minutes at 7:43 a.m. And then at 10 o'clock, he's transferring pictures. He gets a work-related call. NK is talking to family members. And leave Jam alone at 1. And then at 2, he's talking, or they're, Chris and Shanann are text messaging. He's saying, headed to the track, boo. I will text you when I get there. Not like, he's just so calm about it. Then, yeah, they go out to eat. I need to hurry up. This is the picture, one of them, that he transferred into his calculator. Obviously, we're missing 2446, so we can assume that that was a picture of a Mexican restaurant. Meanwhile, Shanann is having some sort of event, a Thrive event. And Chris is Googling whatever and taking photos and movies. The 22nd, nothing really going on except Chris is looking for Home Depot and Spanish dancing. Now, you know, she put him up for that. Like, there's no way in hell that that would ever even cross his mind in a million gazillion years. We're gonna breeze through this because I don't even want to see how. Oh my God, 2.5 hours. Jeez, let's get through this. Okay, the 23rd, he called. We're back to the morning routine. Now, NK is calling sand dunes and probably checking pricing, looking at other stuff, reservations and all of that. He goes to work. She has a conversation with a family member. Chris is talking to Nicole Atkinson for some reason. Then immediately after, well, not immediately, but like half an hour later, Shanann calls him and they talk. Damn, I need another. So then he Googles the Lazy Dog restaurant for the first time. And the Lazy Dog restaurant, that one, is also by the movie theater that I showed you guys earlier. That's where one of them is located. And they went there to eat before. They went there a couple of times. So, yeah, we'll get to the Lazy Dog when we get there. 24th, same routine in the morning. He goes to work. At 8:12 in the morning, he's transferring a nude photograph of possessive mattress at 8 in the morning. Girl, give the man some room to breathe, for the love of God. In the meantime, Chris is getting text messages from his friend about the temperature and how hot it is. And at 1 o'clock, she's Googling, man I'm having an affair with says he will leave his wife. So she's clearly still obsessing about July 14th and the entire maitre d' incident. And at the same time sending him nudes. What a like mind effing, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to cost too much, but yeah. Then he has a conversation with Shanann and then talks with Sandy for 30 minutes and lies that his tire light came on and there's nothing wrong with it. And Shanann's like, well, he could have answered me. You have no consideration for others. But like the same time Shanann is going off on him, he's Googling Victoria's Secret at the Orchard Town Center, which is where everything is. So Orchard Town Center is where the Lazy Dog is, where the movie theater is, where the bench is that they sat on. Yes. Where Krusty Bucket should be. Krusty Bucket. Oh, God. That is NK. Krusty Bucket. And then here she tells him for the first time, or I realized during this trip what's missing in our relationship. It's only one-way emotions and feelings. I can't come back like this. I need you to meet me halfway. You don't consider others at all, nor think about others' feelings. He said he's sorry and he loves her. She said, I try to give you space, but while you're working and living the bachelor life, I'm carrying our third and fighting with our 2 kids daily and trying to work and make money. It's not hard texting love you and miss you. If you don't mean it, then I get it. But we need to talk. I keep looking at my phone all night and no response from you. Like, seriously, we didn't just start dating yesterday. We've been together 8 years and have 2.5 kids together. So, time. Mattress is in Denver somewhere. So she's not even around or whatever, but she's in Denver. And Chris finally talks to Shanann for about 20 minutes. The 25th, he's doing his morning routine. He leaves for work at 6. And at 8 o'clock, he starts Googling when to say, I love you. And he Googles that throughout the day until noon time. Then at 3 o'clock, NK talks to someone for an hour. And Chris talks to Shanann for like half an hour. So while he's on the call with Shanann, NK leaves the voice message. And at 6, he's Googling sand dunes. And then she goes back and forth with Chris. So again, she calls Chris at 7. Immediately after hanging up with Chris, she calls, leave Jim alone, right? And immediately after that, calls Chris. And a couple of minutes later, calls Jim. So that makes me think, I'm not saying that this happened, but that makes me think that Jim was in on this sand dunes plan. You know what I'm saying? Because to call people back and forth like this, you're arranging something, right? So again, morning routine. And now she's in Gilcrest. I don't even know what that is. But I'm going to assume that this is something job related because he then tells her, there it is. Yes, you deserve a pay increase for everything you're doing. Your plate is only getting fuller because people know what you can do. Yeah, ruin people's lives. They need to compensate you now rather than later. And then he Googles GIT or GIT, whatever. And Shanann is in the meantime saying, 3rd pregnancy, I'm feeling really great, not exhausted, not losing sleep, good mood. Again, just a facade, a sales trick, because none of it is true. Thank you, Summer. That is so kind of you. Thank you so much. So same day, Chris is calling Chase Bank, and he's visiting his little gift card addresses or whatever. And his gift card thing, so now he's freaking out probably because he's like, shit, I'm going to the sand dunes. I have like no money that I can use, so I need to figure out how to do this. Then he talks to Shanann. While he's talking to Shanann, he's transferring pictures of NK on his phone while he is talking to Shanann. And then he calls Vivint again. Then talks to, so he's on the phone with Vivint. The phone call gets interrupted because NK is calling. So he takes her call. He talks to her and then calls Vivint back and talks for 25 minutes. And then he moves his truck. So, oh yeah, that's what I forgot. I forgot to look up from where to where he moved his truck. So he parked further away somewhere. I don't even know where. I'll have to look into this. But then he moves his truck, talks to Shanann, Google's lazy dog, and checks his bank accounts again. And in the meantime, Shanann is getting her nails done. The 27th, there's nothing going on all day other than it starts at 4:44 when he calls, or when Shanann calls him. In the meantime, NK is going back and forth again between Jim and him. And this is weird because these two calls from Shanann are to Chris's work phone. And she typically never, these are the only two calls from her to his work phone. So I thought that was weird. Because he probably wasn't answering his other phone. So she was like, dude, like WTF. But he's like, sorry, babes, I'm looking for wine bottle openers. And then they went to the sand dunes. Nothing really interesting here other than all of their little pictures. And now you notice here that all of the pictures that he took with his phone are in order. And all the numbers, you know, correspond, but he's also going to transfer them to his calculator app. And when he does that, they change. But only when he does that. The next day, he continued taking pictures and then has a nerve to tell Shanann that he finished the hike and he's going home. Shanann's like, as if. Hike my, you know what. And there's a full nude of NK. And now she's again calling him. He's not answering. Troy is texting him, asking if he's taking the day off tomorrow. He said no. Shanann continues to call and he doesn't pick up. She then texts him and he finally picks up at 7. This girl has been calling him all freaking day. At 7 o'clock, he picks up. And then talks to, again here with the timing, like at the same exact time, he's getting a text message from Shanann. At the same time, NK is calling him. And he's texting back and forth. Now, she's going back and forth, the two of them, and he's Googling his account balance. The 29th is when these two pictures were taken. And she's telling him, like, I'm assuming you're safe. You're not answering. And he's saying there was a car fire. Just got out of the car, headed home. Thank you. Thank you, Truth 911. Thank you. And Shanann tells him, sorry you're so tired, but I haven't talked to you in 48 hours. That's because you're so damn sexy. I had a hard weekend. Glad I have you to talk to. Sam, if you care. I'm sorry you had a hard weekend, boo. I will make it up to you, I promise. I'm sorry I'm out of it tonight. It would have been nice for my husband to show interest in how the girls and I and the baby. I'm done with begging you to talk. See you Tuesday. You're out of it from playing. You tell him. You're playing games, Chris. Play too much. The 30th, we're back to the morning routine. She sent him the Injexis. And apparently Bella hurt her ankle. Yeah, so he's at work. Here he goes calling Vivint again and Googling lyrics. Because now, remember, like, he's going tomorrow. He's leaving tomorrow. And NK is already, she's got the sober living place on speed dial. Because he's leaving tomorrow. In the meantime, he's talking to Vivint again. And she's leaving him voice messages again. And then he calls her back. So, although Vivint ended 30 minutes earlier, he said he's still on the phone resetting settings and sensitivity. Should be good now. I will monitor it. So, what is this now? The fourth time he's called Vivint in a month? Is that normal? I don't have a security system. My security system is crap. But yeah, is that normal? Do people who have security systems, do they have to call them like 4 times a month? That sounds like a lot. And then he says, letting Maitre Dieter out and going to bed. Love you. And then he gives her goodbye cards because he's leaving. So let's say what he says. Wow, where do I even start? Now remember, she hates to be second anything. So he's trying to tell her, don't worry, boo thang. The first day I saw you, you took my breath away. The first day I had the guts to talk to you, I got lost in those stunning green eyes. The first day we hung out in the park together, I knew I was addicted. The first time we kissed, I knew I had met the most amazing, unique, and electric woman ever. We have a lot of firsts together, Nikki, and I want to keep having them with you. All night till the sun comes back. I wanna love you like that. He keeps calling her electric. I wonder if she like shocked him or something. And then she got 2 with some lyrics that I'm not even gonna, but he tries. He tried, actually, I should say. And then the 31st, she's going cray-cray, calling Jim all day long, leaving voice messages, calling Jim. And then finally, so she's like withdrawing. Brr. He is on his way to North Carolina, deletes her freaking phone number. So after he just got done telling her how he wants to be electrocuted by her forever, he deletes her phone. I bet you when the discovery came out and she saw this, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Whew. Mm-mm. So yeah, finally, like she was moving around. Notice she's like Fort Lupton. Well, maybe, yeah, she was maybe at work. But yeah, he finally called her at 10 o'clock. Well, thank you, Belinda. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so, so, so much. Yeah, so he is transferring a mass of images. Here's the, you're so damn sexy. You're so damn sexy. You're so damn sexy. See, now here the images are 5, 23, and 26. But in his camera, they're actual numbers. Yeah, this is all the data. And that's it. Oh my God, this was a long one. I told you guys last time that July would be ridiculously long. So what do you guys think? Let's see. Oh my God, I've been on for 3 hours almost. So let's take a couple of more questions and I will wrap it up. I cannot believe this. Whew, I'm tired. I can talk. Damn. Thank you. So, oh, thank you. Good. I'm glad that you guys were interested in it because it's definitely a lot of information. Like, no matter how many times I've gone over this, it makes my head spin. And so the major takeaway points from this July is that she's been to his house multiple times. By she, I mean possessive mattress. And then she kept playing that game with him, like that back and forth game. Meanwhile, Shanann is catching on that something is wrong, but at the same time, she's keeping up that picture of everything's perfect. Then Nutgate happens, and I think at that point, Shanann was more focused on and more aware of Chris's, how he communicates or doesn't communicate, which is what initially probably made her question it. And then as she was paying attention to it, she started realizing, like, holy crap, like, he hasn't been communicating this entire time. So now the pressure is turning up and he's getting it from both sides, basically. Shanann is like kicking his behind with text messages, phone calls. On the other hand, NK is like, oh my God, why? So he's like a pressure cooker. Megan, no update yet. Nothing. And it's the weekend, and with this whole Corona thing going on, so I've gotten a contact email to contact, and but I haven't heard anything yet. So we'll see. God, I want that. Did she ever realize what she was married to before this? Who's that? Did Jim get interviewed? No, girl. No, Tammy said when he pled guilty, they came to a full stop. And Tammy said, we weren't done going through the evidence. We weren't done interviewing witnesses. No. Yeah, Debbie, I saw that. I went through that website and I don't understand. I'm not technical, so I don't understand what that's for, but it looks sketchy. The GIT or GIT, whatever it's called. At first, I thought it was like grand, I don't know, like it made me think of Grand Theft Auto, but obviously it doesn't match, but yeah. Yes, yes. So thank you so much. Oh my gosh, 3 hours. This is a long ass time. For some reason, I'm hungry now. All this talk about empanadas is making me hungry. Yeah, Jim, NK, all of them are just gone from the face of the earth. How long were they going on for Chris and NK? I don't know, but I think she's had her eye on them. I don't think. I know she's had her eye on the family for at least a year before this all happened, so. All right, well, I can't. My mouth is getting super dry now, so. So, I will retire for the night. Yes, Megan, please let me know if you do. And oh my God, I want to be there. I'm using my laptop, and I've used both external microphone as well as just the headphones. So I don't know if there's any difference in sound, but that would be amazing. Please let me know when you do. So anyways, good night. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to, so the next one is August, obviously. And that one's probably going to be long too. So I might do it in more than one part. But August is going to get, yeah. So thank you. And have a good night. Stay safe. And take care of